Fox News alert, widespread devastation. That's how one mayor describes his community after Hurricane Harvey slammed into Texas. The most powerful storm to hit the U.S. mainland in more than a decade made landfall as a Category 4 hurricane with winds of 130 miles per hour, and the worst may be yet to come. Hello and welcome to a brand new hour inside America's News headquarters. I'm Mike Emanuel.
And I'm Laura Engel. There are predictions of catastrophic flooding throughout southeast Texas over the next few days. This monster leaves 300,000 people without electricity as it knocked down power lines and trees and blew the roofs off buildings. Now, as emergency crews try to assess the full extent of the damage, authorities warn the worst may be yet to come, with more heavy rain sparking devastating floods. Steve Harrigan, live in Rockport, Texas. That's the city that took a direct hit from Harvey last night. Hi, Steve.
Laura, day two of this rain, which simply doesn't stop. We'll give you a few scenes of what it looks like around Rockport, which took the brunt of that Category 4 hurricane, 130 miles per hour wind. The entire chunk of this building is just gone. So a lot of buildings you see, they look like dollhouses where you just took the top off. And we're also seeing a lot of just piles. It's not even sure what kind of a home or business was there. And a real problem for first responders and for anyone trying to get around are these down power lines. You can see this one dangling over here, a lot more snapped power lines over here. And if you cross the street as well, more snapped power lines. They really are obstacles to those first responder vehicles, and the wind and the rain is still so bad out, it's been really hard for the repair crews to get out here and fix them. So we've been seeing people throughout the day try and come back, recover what they can, but most of these buildings, really some heavy structural damage from that Category 4 storm. As far as search and rescue operations go, the governor said 1,000 personnel are involved. We saw a few of them in action this morning at an apartment complex. Very basic maneuvers, three firemen with axes going through apartments, kicking down doors, trying to see if anyone needed help inside or if there were any dead bodies inside. We also saw a lot of volunteers as well, just with flashlights out, calling out to people. Some people also going out to rescue their pets who they left behind in the storm. So it's a real slow motion, basic rescue operation, but as these roads get a little easier, that should speed up, as I'm sure there's people still in need out here. No confirmed fatalities, according to the governor. Laura, back to you.
All right, Steve, what a mess. Thank you for bringing us those pictures. Stay safe. Mike?
Thank you. As Texas takes stock of the damage, let's put the sheer size of the storm in perspective. Harvey is the fiercest hurricane to hit the U.S. in 13 years and the strongest to hit Texas since Hurricane Carla in 1961. In terms of reaching land, Harvey is the first Category 4 hurricane since Charley in 2004. Meanwhile, the coastal community of Rockport, Texas is coping with extensive damage. Joining me on the phone is Charles C.J. Wax, the mayor of Rockport. And Mr. Mayor, first of all, how are you and your people doing, sir?
We are surviving, and we're beginning the process to respond to this tragedy and try to provide whatever support we can for our citizens.
What is the latest, sir, in terms of loss of power to your community?
All of the utilities are disrupted. Communications lines are down. Landlines completely inoperative. The cellular service is extremely spotty. We do have some satellite phones which are also at best unreliable. We've had great response from both federal and state agencies, as well as some commercial activities. HEB, AEP Texas, who are sending assets to help us begin to recover. We've got 2 teams out right now with heavy equipment to clear debris paths, to permit lanes of traffic to exist that would be able to provide what limited support we can provide to our citizens right now. All of our equipment, of course, was damaged, some severely damaged by the storm. So our capability to respond is somewhat limited, but we're doing what we can to help our residents. We do have a refuge of last resort that the last time I checked had about 2.5 dozen people in it. and we're trying to use the capability that we do have remaining to the best advantage of our citizens. Let me encourage citizens of this community, this entire community, if you took our advice and evacuated, stay where you are. Do not try to return to the city. All of the utilities are disrupted. In many cases, the roads are not safe, and there's no need for you to take an additional risk. Stay where you are until we can prepare the community to receive you again. Do not be part of the problem, be part of the solution.
A lot of wisdom there, Mr. Mayor. There's a lot of concern, obviously, going forward. This storm is not over yet. What are your biggest concerns going forward, sir?
My biggest concern is people will begin to become complacent because our Category 4 storm that hit us right on the front porch with serious damage to our community now is marked down to a tropical storm, significantly lower winds from our peak winds were down into 50 and 60 knots. And if people begin to get complacent and start to try and come back to the city, they're going to be met by life-threatening flooding coming from the interior portions of the state, where this storm has stalled and is dumping record amounts of rain, which is now going to come back down through the rivers and creeks and back down toward the coast. And after the hurricane hits the front porch, life-threatening flooding will hit the back porch.
I'm sure, Mr. Mayor, you and other leaders in that part of the great state of Texas have done a lot of preparation for a big hurricane coming through. Thankfully, it's been a while since you've had a big one, but how does this storm shape up in terms of how you've prepped for one and what you actually got?
We are executing the emergency management plan that we have had and had coordinated across all the governmental entities with the limited resources that we have that are unimpacted by the storm. But this is one of the worst storms, well, I think you guys said, to strike the U.S. mainland in 13 years. The city of Rockport, Texas is a very well-known art community. I would have rather kept that reputation than Rockport, Texas being the center of where Hurricane Harvey struck.
And sir, I hate to ask this question, but do you have any sense of loss of life?
Right now, and there are a number of social media rumors flying about, right now, I have no confirmed fatalities in the city of Rockport. And I encourage all citizens to go to governmental sources of information. When and if, I hope it does not happen, but if it does, that we have some confirmed fatalities, we will post them on a government website that a fatality has occurred. But do not depend on social media. Go to official government information sites.
Well, Mr. Mayor, we thank you for your time. We wish you and your community the very best going forward, and hope and pray for a speedy recovery and no loss of life. Thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you.
And as the country watched a Category 4 hurricane hit Texas last night, President Trump pardoned controversial former Sheriff Joe Arpaio for a criminal contempt conviction. And yet another presidential aide left the White House. Doug McElway live from the White House with more. A lot going on there. What's the latest on the Friday night pardoning of Arpaio?
Well, you know, as we all know, all recent administrations have used the Friday night document dump to lessen the impact of really important stories and throw in a Category 4 hurricane, and it makes it all that much easier. Sure enough, just as Hurricane Harvey was beginning to lash the shore of the Texas coast, the president tweeted just last night, quote, "I am pleased to inform you that I have just granted a full pardon to 85-year-old American patriot Sheriff Joe Arpaio. He kept he kept Arizona safe." Writing in the Washington Post just this morning, respected columnist Dan Ball said of the pardon, "The president is a divider, not a uniter." Quote, "In pardoning Arpaio, the president has again linked himself to the most extreme elements of the immigration debate, inflaming an already highly volatile situation." Sheriff Arpaio sees it entirely differently. He responded to the president's tweet last night, quote, "Thank you at Real Donald Trump for seeing my conviction for what it is, a political witch hunt by holdovers in the Obama Justice Department. For those who are asking how they can continue to help, a donation to my legal fund goes directly to paying off legal fees from this fight." And then there was more Friday night intrigue last night with the resignation or the firing, depending on who you talk to, of Sebastian Gorka, a familiar face on Fox News. Gorka was a hawkish hardliner, especially when it came to Islamic terrorism, who was also seen as a very close ally to Steve Bannon. His departure, another sign that the Bannon era has now passed. In fact, in a Breitbart piece just this morning, an article that has Steve Bannon's fingerprints all over it, Breitbart lays into an email that was sent to reporters from Special Assistant to the President, Kelly Sadler. The Breitbart piece reads, quote, "Sadler's claim that she is a senior White House official is not true. She is not a senior White House official. She's a low-level press staffer and a commissioned officer as a Special Assistant to the President." And then it says, in addition, her claim that Gorka did not resign is also untrue. Gorka sent the president a detailed resignation letter, as multiple media outlets have reported. Bannon has said that he will continue to serve the president from the outside, but it appears from this that he is also exerting some influence over his own influence, I should say, over his loss of influence. So a very intriguing delivery from Steve Bannon via Breitbart News. Laura, back to you.
All right, Doug, well, what's the latest on the White House response to Hurricane Harvey? We're still in it. We're still watching this take place.
You know, they're intensely conscious of not repeating the mistakes of Hurricane Katrina, what the Bush administration did there. In fact, Senator Chuck Grassley tweeted last night not to make those same mistakes. The president has apparently heard that loud and clear, responding at Chuck Grassley via tweet, "Got your message loud and clear. We have fantastic people on the ground. Got 3 long days before Harvey, rather got there long before Harvey. So far, so good." And we heard just late today that the president is teleconferencing with his entire cabinet and urging them to stay vigilant, because the worst damage from this hurricane is likely still to come with these incredible rainfalls, historical, unprecedented rainfall totals that could happen over the next 2 to 3 days.
That's right.
Laura,
All right.
back to you.
Doug McKelway at the White House for us. Thank you so much. Mike.
People in southeast Texas desperate for water in the wake of Tropical Storm Harvey, and now there are reports of price gouging. What state officials are doing about it?
Well, I've lived here, decades. I've never seen anything like this. I don't know if you can ever be prepared for a storm that drops that much rain. But I do know that we're very effective in Texas at dealing with natural disasters. We've had hurricanes before. And we've got great leadership in our state, and we've got great local officials. So I'm confident that we will be doing everything we possibly can to make a difference.
Fox News alert, a search underway for one U.S. service member after a Black Hawk helicopter crashed off the coast of Yemen. Military officials say 5 other service members on the aircraft have been rescued. This is the 4th U.S. aircraft crash since July. Laura?
Well, Hurricane Harvey now downgraded to a tropical storm after hammering the Texas coast. Powerful winds and intense flooding hit the Lone Star State, with some areas seeing as much as 30 inches of rain. Just imagine that. How much more is on the way? Let's go to senior meteorologist Janice Dean live in the Fox Extreme Weather Center. All right, Janice, what's it looking like?
We haven't seen 30 inches yet, Laura, but some of the forecast totals are certainly within that range. Here's what it looks like right now. Hard to imagine just hours ago we were dealing with a Category 4 hurricane. The first in Texas since 1961, and certainly the damage reports are now coming in. It's going to really take days for us to get a grasp on the scope of this system and the type of damage that we have heard. But, so far we are crossing our fingers. We're hearing that we haven't heard about any injuries or fatalities yet. But here are some of the rainfall totals that we do have. So close to 15 inches in parts of the state as the storm made landfall. And we still are not out of the woods in terms of tornadoes. Tornado threat overnight tonight. We have a tornado watch until 3 a.m. local time. And it looks like we have a tornado warning storm north of Beaumont right here. So weak tornadoes with this system, with these landfalling tropical systems. We already have some rotation in place with the counterclockwise winds, and we will continue to have that threat for tornadoes. I warn people, though, you can't really see them, obviously, because we've got all that rainfall. So rain-wrapped tornadoes will be a risk. Listen to your NOAA weather radios and your local forecasts. All right, there's a look at where we have seen the heaviest rainfall. Again, so far east or west of Houston, around the Corpus Christi area, certainly reports of over a foot of rainfall. The potential rainfall totals are really staggering as we expect this storm to stall and remain in place, not moving very quickly for the next couple of days. So, 20, 30, 40 inches, isolated areas that could get upwards of close to 3 feet of rainfall. And the reason why is because we've got the lack of steering. Typically with these landfalling systems, we'll have a cold front or a trough that will scoop this north and eastward. But look this is our cone of uncertainty. It's a circle. And because we don't have anything to steer this out of the way, light steering currents, and right now this area of high pressure is winning out in that it's going to keep this thing at bay, perhaps getting all of that tropical moisture. So again, Laura, watching this, we really don't have an idea of where this is going to go. Certainly we're going to be tracking it through Wednesday, and that's why we're seeing those epic rainfall totals. Back to you.
All right, Janice Dean, thank you so much for breaking it down and making it easy for us to understand as we watch all of those models. Very good. Thank you.
Okay, you got it.
All right, Mike.
Emergency officials tracking the damage in southeastern Texas, but now there are worries of price gouging. The Texas Attorney General joins us live next.
And people in the path of Hurricane Harvey are already seeing price gouging. Officials in Texas report some retailers and gas stations are selling cases of water for up to $99. Can you believe that? It's against the law in Texas for retailers to hike prices of essential items during a disaster. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton joins me now. So glad that you're here with us to talk about this. Welcome to you, sir.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And thanks for bringing up this issue. It's very important to my constituents.
Absolutely. And, I do want to mention there is so much good that we see come from communities when they are hit so hard. But this does seem to be an unfortunate result in some places when people see that opportunity to profit. So how exactly do you stop it?
Well, so we have on our website a call-in number. We also, our website, you can report it. We've had over 200 complaints. And so we're fortunate with technology today. People can send in pictures, they can, email us, and so we're out looking at the ones we've gotten, and that's how we know about the $42, case of water and the $99 case of water. It's because of people letting us know, and we appreciate